Hi, welcome to my channel, Blooms and Leaves. My name is Steph, and here is my current side yard. This will be episode 1 of changing what I have as my side yard garden into a cut flower garden. So, here are the state of the beds that I currently have. My husband built me one extra wooden bed, and then he extended the length of the two current beds that we had. This is what it looked like last year, just two wooden garden beds. One I used as flowers, one as vegetables. Here is him adding a archway. Here is the flower bed that I had. And as I started growing veggies in the second wooden bed, it kind of got a little unruly and got quite large, but we grew a lot of produce from this side yard. But this year is going to be a bit different. I am wanting to extend two of the wooden beds that we have and make those into a cut flower garden, and also add a third wooden bed that would be primarily for cut flowers. I am keeping the metal green raised bed as vegetables just because we do love tomatoes, we do love peppers, we love basil and all the warm crops that we grow here in from basically spring all the way through up until fall. I do grow here in California, zone 9B, so we do have a long growing season, and we cherish all the produce that our garden can supply for us. So I don't want to completely remove all of the space for cut flowers, but as of this year, this 2026 year, the green metal bed will be staying as vegetables, and all the other beds will be transitioning to flowers. So this one here that I am adding more soil, we actually extended it, I believe, 2 to 3 more feet. This will be my dahlia bed. I do have some tubers already trying to waken up. I already see some sprouting and growth from them already on the tubers, so I'm so excited. So this, I am just trying to add a lot more soil, and then I do add an amendment soil, one that has compost, and it has a little bit of sand, just because I am somewhat doing a no dig raised bed. Our soil here is pretty thick, it is clay like. So, none of which any of my flowers that I'm trying to grow like to stay in soggy, wet roots. So, I'm trying our best to at least try to start improving the soil health in these beds. But as of right now, it is a no dig bed. So I am adding some, just kind of trying to stretch the buck. In this economy, times are rough. So I am using some soil that we have Ace Hardware supply store here in our town. I think that's more of a California store possibly. But so I did get their brand of soil, then I mixed in amendment soil, and then I went in with a 420 recipe soil. I've heard really good reviews about that one, and it is made pretty close to us. So, buy local is great. So, here is the second bed that this one here was a new one completely. This side of the yard, I didn't use any other raised beds besides containers. So this one will be a completely new bed. So I am doing the same process, is just adding some kind of more affordable basic soil, and then an amendment soil, and then also a more enriched, a little bit more pricier soil. But this 420 recipe is pretty affordable. It's about $16 for the one bag. So I feel like that's pretty well priced. And so far I've heard, especially the workers at Ace Hardware, they raved about it. So here it was a dilemma of mine. This is a garden bed that is still filled with some cool crop veggies that I had planted prior to me and my bright idea of telling my husband, we are making cut flowers on the side of the house. So, with not wanting to completely get rid of all these veggies, I am trying to relocate them. I know that technically um, they might go into shock and just die, but I want to give them a chance. I have a raised bed over by my greenhouse that I'm going to transplant these veggies over there, and I'm going to see. I'm going to give it a go. I definitely did not keep all of them. I believe I got rid of the kohlrabi and possibly some of the small dwarf kale. It's just that we were eating up, and the kohlrabi, how large it gets, it's just not gonna be best fitted in the raised bed that I'm gonna try to transplant all of these. So I do have, like, here I have some fennel, I have early round Dutch cabbage, I have celery, basil, so a little bit of kale and uh maybe parsley if I didn't say that. And also a purple sprouting broccoli. And and two Romanesco or Rampini broccoli. So I do show it again so I can clarify. But I did line this bed with onions, small bulbing onions all around as a companion plant, but also as onion to eat as well. So I am hopeful that at least maybe the onions will be okay with transplanting. But again, I am okay if I do lose some of these. I know for sure the herbs will be fine. Parsley, I've moved that girl parsley all around the garden and she always be thriving. She never dies on me, luckily. So I am just, giving it a try. I do want to overturn this bed and do the same process with adding soil, because we did, I don't know if you can tell, but on here where there's a stop of the current soil, there is about a foot or two added on to make this a larger bed, because this bed will be my zinnia bed. So I am trying to at least, it is still pretty chilly for to start zinnias and they are pretty fast growing, but I do want to get this bed amended and then so I can start zinnias in our zone, in our growing area. Our anticipated estimated last frost date was January 28th, and today is February 28th. So we are a month past that. So it is, I would feel pretty safe to put out warm crops. I personally am still going to wait another week to put out my peppers and tomatoes, but I do want to do two methods for the zinnias. I want to direct sow zinnias straight into the bed, and then I do want to start zinnias by, in a six cell tray set and start them inside indoors, and then see which method is better. I do get a good germination rate with them. I used a couple different brands, and I've always had a really good success rate with zinnias, but there are some that I noticed that get powdery mildew very quickly. So I'm trying to see what method really does work best in my garden and in my area. So I am trying to do at least direct sow. So I do need to get these veggies out. And I do have all of these veggies already in other beds. So I'm not completely missing out on these crops. It's just, as of right now, they gotta go. So this is the last one. It was a nasturtium. I have them growing everywhere, so it's not a problem. And then here I am just adding again the same Ace Hardware soil, adding an amendment soil, and then I'm going to go in with the 420 recipe soil. I will water it all in, mix it up, and I'm hopeful that I don't need to add too much more soil, but as we all know, soil does settle with some water. And once everything gets settled in the nooks and crannies, so I will probably need to add a little bit of more soil, so possibly another bag or so in each one of these raised beds, but I am okay with that. So here is where I am transplanting all of those ones that I took out of that garden bed. And again, I am okay with any of them being lost. This bed here will be a pepper bed, so I don't really have too long of a period for them to let them go. So if they don't thrive, I'm okay with saying goodbye. So I am trying to keep at least the parsley and the celery and the fennel. Other than that, if I don't get the rampini broccoli just, to thrive and go to full maturity, I'm okay. I have those in a couple other raised beds. So I've made my peace. Oh, and some of the onions did look already in shock. They look droopy, but I'm hopeful with a little bit of Sure Start EB Stone organic fertilizer and some water and just some time, they will perk back up. And I will eat the onion tops as just, cut up green onion. And also, if the bulb is pretty small, I'm totally fine with just eating it like that. I do not need huge onion bulbs to harvest and to preserve. I'm okay. I know I don't have the space or the capacity to completely give up a whole bed to grow those beautiful onions that I see so much on other gardens, those big bulbs that are able to be stored for seasons. It's just, I don't have that kind of space. So we are okay with our little onions. So I am going to at least try to spare some room because I will be adding my peppers to this bed within probably the next week or so. And there is still a room as of right now. I do have a tendency to not realize spacing. Spacing is a goal of mine this year for 2026 is learning how to space things and give plants their space because we all like our personal bubble and so do plants. And I cannot, for the life of me, get that right. So here is what it looks like, all watered in, name tags for all the little guys. And they didn't look too bad. I feel like they look pretty good for being completely moved while they were maturing for me. So I'm okay with how it is. And I did add to Owalas. I can never say how those in-ground ceramic water jugs are. Please, someone correct me. I never know how I see it in my head is just not how I say it out loud. And here is what the side yard looks like now with all of that backbreaking work. I am so excited, very happy how it looks already. It is prepped and ready to go for this cut flower growing season of 2026. This is a long view of the side yard with my two climbing roses on my arch. I do still have some remaining containers. I'm still thinking of making those into cut flower containers or moving those to the backyard. Here is the metal raised bed that we are keeping for veggies and that we will be growing tomatoes in. But yeah, this is episode 1. Thank you so, so much for watching. Bye.